Welcome to If the Spark Could Talk, a podcast about bartenders and the stories they have to tell. We'll learn about their creative process, their favorite cocktails, as well as the storied history of cocktails, spirits, and bars. I'm your host, Leanne Sims, along with Blair Beavers. You want to say hello, Blair?
Hello.
And producer Greg Hansberry. So tonight, our guest is Jillian Smith from Mouton in Columbus, Ohio. Welcome, Jillian.
Hi.
So Mouton was one of the original craft cocktail bars in Columbus, right?
Yes.
When did you guys start?
So Mouton opened in 2010. After the first year, it was sold to the current owners. And at that time, they kind of started, they were interested in turning, it was originally more of like a wine bar, wine focused.
Okay.
And they kind of switched and started a cocktail program. So I think Chris Delavi, who you guys have had on the show, I think she helped out a little bit in the very beginning, and then some of the young guys took the reins and turned it into kind of what it is today.
Yeah, it's funny because it was one of the first craft cocktail bars that I had been to, and I thought it was pretty amazing back then. I think it was when I first moved downtown, so maybe, I don't know, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that. But it's a small space, so It fills up quickly, but it's a great, and you guys have great little small plus charcuterie.
Yeah, we do cheese and charcuterie boards, and the bread comes from the bakery that's around the corner, Laughlin's, and
we love Laughlin's.
Yes, we have desserts also on the weekends. So
one of the things that I remember is you're also on our cocktail tour, and the first tour that we did with you, you gave our guests this amazing Bloody Mary popcorn.
Oh, yeah.
I can't get that stuff out of my mind. It was the most amazing popcorn ever. It really tasted like a Bloody Mary.
Yeah, it did. We don't really do that very often anymore, but that was fun.
Yeah, it was so delicious. So you won a contest recently, a cocktail competition,
Yes.
Espelon Cocktail Fights 2018.
Yes, my partner PJ Ford from Light of Seven Matchsticks, and we won the regionals. So now we get to, they're going to take us on a little trip to Mexico for Day of the Dead.
Oh,
That's
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah, so all the contestants, it's kind of nice. We get to go meet each other first. And then the finals will be in New York in November.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you didn't just win it. You there was a record involved there. What was that? Something like Columbus won?
Well, so there was a pool of 12 teams, and then that was whittled down to 4, and 3 of the 4 teams ended up being Columbus teams. It was a Tri-City fight, so it was versus Indianapolis and Chicago.
Oh, wow.
So 1 team from Chicago and 3 teams from Columbus. So we had a pretty good shot of bringing back the title to Columbus at that point. But yeah.
So how did you prepare for that?
Well, it's a really fun competition. Probably the most fun that I've ever had at a competition. You pick a theme and dress up. So PJ and I sat down and we both had like a couple themed ideas, kind of like duos. And we talked through a few and ended up with, we did Super Mario themed. So he was Luigi and I was actually Bowser. And our cocktail was called Princess and the Peach. And so it was pretty interesting. So we kind of built the cocktail together. I know a lot of people, I think, you were able to submit and pick a partner later. And I think a lot of people did that. PJ and I actually started off, like, we came up with the idea together. We made the cocktail together. So he kind of like threw out some ideas, peach, and we ended up, he wanted to work with tamarind, and I threw cilantro in there and some salt, and that's kind of how it went.
And what was the tag team part or aspect of the competition?
So it was kind of a chopped style competition. So the first round, you came out and you had to do kind of an intro. So they there was stairs at this place, so they had us actually coming down the stairs. It was really funny. So we came in and they had, a song playing. We got to pick our own song, come in, do
What
a
was your
little
song?
skit. It was like a remix of a Super Mario. And so we actually came up and we did he had a blow up costume. So it was Mario riding Yoshi. We actually accidentally ordered him a child-sized costume. So it got even funnier because we had to cut the back of it, but still make it. Anyway, it was pretty funny. We looked pretty ridiculous. So then we got to make the cocktails for the judges. We had 5 minutes to set up our bar, make 4 cocktails, and present them. And that was kind of them getting to see our skit and our personality and the theme of our cocktail. And then it went into a chop style. So they didn't even tell us. We weren't even allowed off stage. So we were the first ones to go. We went against another Columbus team. And they were like, pick A or B. And I was like, A. PJ's like, okay, B. Yeah, all right. So they blindfolded him and put noise-canceling headphones on him. So he had no idea what was going on. They came up and spun a wheel with they picked 2 words. And then so we got shaken and salty. I had 1 minute to pick ingredients. They took the blindfold and stuff off PJ, and then I couldn't touch anything. We couldn't go back to the table to get any more ingredients, and he had to build a cocktail.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we kind of struggled in that round, actually, because we were building this awesome cocktail, and all of a sudden I realized he wasn't building 4 cocktails, he was building 1. And so we kind of scrambled, but I think it tasted good, and we got it out there. And then the last round, they picked a word out of a hat, and they chose the word hero. And so you had to team up and make a cocktail based on hero. We ended up doing a Star Wars theme, dark, light versus dark, and yeah.
Fun. That's so cool. And you had to use, the only ingredient you had to use every time was the Espolòn tequila.
Yeah, we got to use any of their products, or any 3 of their tequilas. We had to use 1.5 ounces in each cocktail. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So when you go to Mexico, so do you get to take a friend, or is it just you and...
It's just PJ and I go,
Okay.
and then all the other competitors will be there.
Fun.
So that'll be nice. It's gonna, networking is really important when you're competing. It's one of the most fun parts is meeting people from all over. So it'll be nice to be able to go and meet them first, and then that way when you go to the competition, because you're kind of tunnel visioned when you're in competition. So when you meet people, there's a lot going on. You have to stay focused. We're already gonna know these people. We'll already have stories and stuff. I'm really excited.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Really fun. So how did you get started as a bartender?
I was always kind of interested in it. I've worked in restaurants for a very long time. And I kind of bartended some weddings at a country club and did some bartending at a country club for a little while. And then when I was working at Natalie's Coal-Fired Pizza, they started getting a little more interested in cocktails and doing barrel aging, and I kind of took that over as my project, and then just pushed myself back behind their bar, I guess, and yeah, so.
So how much, do you create the whole menu at Mouton, or is it a collaboration?
No,
Or how
that's
does
a
that work?
collaboration. There's there's quite a few cocktails on our menu that are kind of maybe Lost Classics or other modern stuff that other bars have done, and some of them are originals, probably about half and half.
Okay. What do you like working with the most? What's your favorite base spirit?
Spirit.
Do you have one?
Probably gin.
Gin.
Yeah.
We like gin
I like
too.
the shaken gin cocktails.
Yeah.
But
Okay. So
I'm
speaking
with you
of,
on that.
yeah, I'd like mine stirred. I
Well,
love
for
just
martini.
a crisp martini.
Martini,
Yeah.
sure, but I do love an aviation. I love
True,
a
yeah.
gimlet.
there's just so much stuff you can do with gin.
Yeah, it's true. And it's funny because so many people don't like gin. That's the biggest
Right.
thing we hear on our cocktail tours. Oh, not gin. I had a bad experience. I don't want gin.
I get that
And
a
then by the end, people are like, wow, I didn't know I like gin.
Yeah, we get that a lot. We don't have a lot of vodka or anything on our menu, but we have a really heavy gin heavy menu right now. so getting people like just, you know, they're like, oh, I don't know, but I really hate gin. And I'm like, well, you know, we have like a split-based slow gin and Navy strength gin cocktail, and pushing them towards that. And all of a sudden they realize they don't hate all gins.
Slow gin. That's a blast from the past. So that went away for a while, right?
I mean, yeah, kind of.
That was, so my parents, they don't drink at all, but they would have parties every once in a blue moon, and they would serve everyone slow gin. And back then it was like this syrupy, just gross cherry stuff. And we would go around the table after the adults like left the dinner table, and they would leave their glass of time. We would drink the rest of their slow gin. And then we'd sneak into my dad's little bar. He had like 3 bottles in it. It was like cold duck and slow gin, and we would drink the slow gin. It was like cherry. It was like Luden's cough drops. You know what those are? So then it went away for a long time, and now it's back. So I don't think I've tasted it since it's come back on the market. I'm sure it's much better than it was back then.
Probably.
I certainly hope so. So speaking of cocktails, you're going to make us a cocktail.
I am.
What are you going to make for us?
I'm going to make an Ango Collins. So just real easy, equal parts Angostura, lemon, and simple syrup.
I've never had a cocktail made just with Angostura bitters.
It's so good.
I love bitters, though, so I'm pretty excited. So we're going to take a break. We're going to make a cocktail, and then we'll come back.
You know it's serious when you've got to pour the Angostura.
And we are back with an Ango cocktail. Is that what we call this?
Yeah, it's an Angostura Collins.
Okay. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Angostura Collins. That is tasty.
That's so good.
So tell us how you made this.
It's just so equal parts lemon juice, simple syrup, and Angostura bitters. Top it off with club soda. That's pretty much it. The first time that I ever had this cocktail was actually at Porco Tiki Lounge up in Cleveland. And I was with a couple of friends, and it was towards the end of the night, and one of my friends asked the bartender for, you know, something a little bit like lower proof, easier drinking. And this is what he made her. And later on, I think I was flipping through Imbibe or one of those magazines, and it popped up, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember. And I remembered how much we all liked the cocktail. And so I use it now. It's actually on our menu at Mouton currently.
And you serve it in a Collins glass?
Serve it in a Collins glass.
That's what makes it a Collins?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So would this be considered a digestive?
I mean, it would definitely help settle your stomach or after a big meal.
Nice. And so I noticed the Angostura bottle, the label. Do you know the story behind that label?
I don't know from what I've heard, it was that they originally printed the labels too big. And then they, for some reason, they just chose to keep them that way. But I don't actually know if that's true.
So there's a couple of stories that I've read for our listeners who've never seen an Angostura bottle. It's a small bottle of bitters with a giant label. The label clearly does not fit the bottle. And the story that I've read a couple different stories, but one of them that makes the most sense to me is the person who was in charge of purchasing and printing and all that at the Angostura company accidentally ordered the labels that were too large when they came in. You know, that stuff costs a lot of money, and they were like, oh, these are too big. And he was like, no, I meant to do it because that's going to make it stand out on the shelf. So that sounds believable to me.
I will say a lot of people comment on the label.
Yeah. So that's how you remember it. So I guess it did work. But I think you'd probably remember it because it's delicious, but whatever. So you've been a bartender for a while. Mm-hmm. So you must have some stories that you would want to share about the crazy business that you're in. Give me a story.
I mean, I feel like most of my stories end up being like game day drunk people stories, because for people who don't know Ohio State football, being someone who was originally not from here, I was from California and moved here, and I remember my first Ohio State game day. I went to the store and there was like nobody in the store, and the game was playing over the speakers, and I'm like, what is with everybody? And then you learn, like, I mean, it is such a big deal here, and people love to tailgate and party on game day.
We're both transplants too, so
Yeah.
it was new to us when we first moved here.
It's hard to understand unless you actually,
Right.
live here during it. But it was, I think it was my first year working at Mouton, and I was making drinks on the well. This couple came and stood in our service well, and he seemed okay, and she was pretty drunk, so we gave her, we have little glasses for our water, but we just gave her a big glass of water, and she was like, okay, well, she's not going to get served. Let's see how this plays out. And she finally she grabs a lemon out of my garnishing bowl and takes a bite out of it. And she goes, "That's a lemon." And I was like, you are right. And that lemon is not for you. And you drink your water. You're not going to be having a drink with us this evening. I don't know. I always feel like that's one of my funny. It was kind of shocking. I'm like, what did you just do?
So how do you do that? Like that must happen. How do you know when you need to cut somebody off? And how do you do it?
I would say that a lot of the times that people don't get too upset about it because they know that they're too drunk. Mostly it only happens to us, like, on weekends. Our cocktails are very strong. I mean, most cocktails and most cocktail bars are very strong, and people don't always realize that when they're drinking them.
Until they stand up.
Yes. But, I mean, it's our responsibility to kind of provide a space for all of our customers, so not to have a good time. And sometimes a drunk, belligerent person, if they're affecting other people's time, sometimes you have to ask them to leave. Mm-hmm. It's our responsibility to safely serve people. So if someone walks in and they're visibly really intoxicated and shouldn't have another drink, I don't want to serve them a drink, because once I serve them a drink, then I'm one of the people that have overserved them. And if something happens to them, or, they get behind the wheel of a car and something happens, like, we're responsible for that. Mm-hmm. And so I always remind, especially my young bartenders who sometimes have a hard time with it, I always, remind them that it is our responsibility. And if we serve them a drink, then,
Yeah, there's an actual law on the
right.
books.
I
can't remember the name of it right now. It escapes me, but there's an actual law that you are responsible for serving safely.
And some of my young bartenders don't actually know that, and so I have to explain to them, look, if that person gets hurts somebody, or if they say I was drinking at Mouton, and you're the bartender, you're the person that gave them the drink, you can be held responsible. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very important to really, it's not a fun subject, I can tell you that. It's not a fun.
Oh, I'm sure it's got to be awkward.
But we usually talk about it. The staff will kind of come together. So if someone will say, I don't think this person should have another drink, I don't know that we should serve them, we'll send someone else over to the table to kind of check out the situation. And we usually collectively decide as a team, no, we're not going to serve them. And
do you ever just give them what they think is a cocktail, but really just give them Sprite or whatever and not charge them for it?
I don't think that we've done that.
They'd probably notice and be throw it in your face or something.
Yeah, I'm not, I don't think that we...
Have you ever had to call the police on somebody?
Being in the short north, we do get, every once in a while, we get a little bit of riffraff, so yes, but not any. I haven't had to call the police on a customer, luckily.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Get a pretty nice group of people
we
at the
do.
Mouton.
Yeah.
It's a classy place. So,
it is.
And you can tell that when you walk in, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not dive bar by any means. So what is it like being a female in this business? Is it harder? What's your feeling on that, especially in this climate now of the Me Too and time's up?
I mean, I think that I think if you talk to any female bartender, it is different for us. I've had times that I will be the only person working at Mouton, like a weeknight, and I'm the only person in the room. And I'll go up to take an order from a table, and they'll look around and they'll say, can you have the bartender make me... And I'm like, I'm the only person. Where do you think this bartender is? Like, I am the bartender. And we get it a lot. I had a young bar back when I first started managing Mouton. He was actually 20 years old, like 1 month away from being 21. And constantly people would say, can you ask him what whiskey he would wants to put in my drink? And I'm like, he's 20 years old. Like,
he doesn't know whiskey.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that just don't think, luckily, well, I wouldn't say luckily, but right now, and for like probably about the last year and a half, Mouton has had a mostly female staff. We have one guy right now that works 1 day a week, and the rest are all girls. So we see less and less of it because there is no one for them to look at and say, I think, World Class just ended today. And Laura Newman from Alabama was in the top 4. And if you read any of her stuff, like on Facebook, she wrote this thing that said that she walked into a bar in 2012 in New York. It was one of her favorite bars, and asked if she could ever get hired. Like, she wanted to be a bartender, inquired about a job, and they told her that they don't hire female bartenders, but she would make a good cocktail server.
Wow.
And like, here she is, she was top 4 at World Class this year.
That's just insane.
Yeah. So it is different.
I don't even see how that's legal. I mean, it isn't.
Right.
But they just do it because nobody probably talks about it. Nobody knows. Wow. Well, they're lost. That's what I say.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think you don't see as many female bartenders. I think you're starting to see more and more in Columbus. I mean, I was trying to think today. Like, we do have quite a few. But I think why they stand out to me is that it's not like there's a lot of them, but the female bartenders that we do have in Columbus are pretty kick-ass.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Like, when I was thinking about, before I came, I was thinking about all the female, and I was like, well, they're amazing. So are they. Like, I think like a lot of the ones from Curio.
Right.
I mean, Annie Williams won Bombay Sapphire last year.
Right.
So.
That's amazing.
Yeah. You have Rebecca Monday and Crystal Lavi, people like that. So I think a lot of our females in Columbus are pretty badass. But.
Yeah. And you're pretty badass too.
Oh, well.
So what is your, did I already ask you what your favorite spirit is?
I don't think so. My favorite spirit is Fernet.
Which is in, we had that, and last week on our tiki.
Yeah, I can't lie. I am a Fernet person, and but other than that, I would say whiskey is probably second, and then third is probably tequila. So I kind of go in that order. I like to make a lot of cocktails with gin, but I wouldn't say I drink a lot of it.
I would say mine is that order as well. Probably whiskey, gin, tequila, or maybe, I don't know, maybe tequila and then gin, because I do love me some tequila.
I do too.
But you know what's funny is I like silver. I love reposado. I don't like añejo as much, which it seems like I would because I like whiskey. But I don't know. There's just something about the reposado that's just that right balance between.
I would say repos are probably my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great. I want to know more about tequila. I don't know that much about.
Well, when
tequila.
I get back from Mexico, I'll let you know.
Oh yeah, school me, please. Oh my gosh, I would love to go to Mexico and go to a tequila distillery. That would be so amazing. Will you get to do that? Will you get to go to Esplanade?
Yeah. So we go to Guadalajara for Day of the Dead, and then they take us to Mexico City and then down to the distillery for an educational. I think we spend 2 days there. So
that would be amazing.
Yeah.
I like watching on, I think it's National Geographic. They show the fields and the harvesting the agave and how they cut them with those giant like flat shovel-ish things. And those guys have been doing that for their whole life. They do it so fast, but it's just
I
really
think
cool.
even being down there for Day of the Dead would be quite an experience.
Are you going to paint your
too.
face?
I don't know. Maybe I haven't really decided. I haven't really.
That'd be
awesome,
so
though.
fun.
I think we should probably take our Super Mario costumes and be like Super Mario Day of the Dead, paint our faces.
So I'm glad you cleared that up about the Super Mario thing, because I saw the pictures on Facebook and I was like, that's an interesting
Yeah.
outfit they chose.
We had like a little skit and everything too, but we didn't realize we knew there was going to be a stage. I don't know. We're going to fine tune it for New York. We have some ideas to a little like bigger and better next time.
When is New York?
The competition is the 19th. So, and we go out there. We'll just be there we fly out Sunday and we come back Tuesday. So.
Of October?
November.
Okay. And then if you win that, then what?
I think that's it. I think you get like another. So we got like these big like wrestling belts. They're really cool. But I think you just get another one of those. I don't know what happens if you win. If I haven't gotten that far.
Maybe you win $1 million.
I don't know. I don't think that.
That'd be great, though.
I mean, we're just
life.
excited that we got this far. It was like, it's pretty.
Now, you and PJ obviously were friends.
Yeah. We've. We're not like very close friends or anything, but he's somebody that like I think the Light of Seven Matchsticks he's done a great job there.
Yeah.
And I was just I wanted to do it with somebody from a different bar because I wanted it to be fun. It was and I didn't want it to feel like work. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to pair up with somebody from another bar, and he was one of the people that got back to me first and said, yeah. So
We love PJ. He's amazing.
He is great.
He does good things. And I saw he's teaching people how to make cocktails
He
now. So I
is,
love
yeah.
that. That's really great. Tell us where Mouton is and when you're open, what your hours are.
So Mouton, we're located at 954 North High Street, so right in the heart of Short North. We are open Tuesday through Sunday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 5 to 11. Friday, Saturday from 4 to 1. And Sunday from 4 to 10.
Do you guys do happy hour?
We do happy hour during the week till 7 o'clock.
Okay, what's the deal for happy hour?
We do $6 highballs and some $6 beer and wine options. So, yeah.
And when
pretty
would
good
we
deal.
find you behind the stick?
I am there Wednesday through Saturday.
Awesome.
Pretty much find me there anytime during that.
All right, listeners, get down to Mouton and visit Jillian. She'll make you a delicious Ango Collins cocktail.
This is really just so delicious because it's kind of a fall cocktail. It kind of reminds me of like a spiked clove orange.
It's a beautiful color, too. It's
No,
a beautiful...
it's absolutely delicious.
It's kind of a... What would you call that color? Like burnt orange? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very nice cocktail. Delicious. Low proof, so you can have two. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not like completely
We'll
low proof,
call it
but
that.
lower proof.
Lower proof.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely lighter. There's not a lot of alcohol in it.
Awesome. Well, Jillian Smith, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
being
guys.
our guest. And that's it for this episode of If This Bar Could Talk. Please subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Rate us, review us, and tell all of your friends, please. Also, check out our cocktail tour. Mouton is on our cocktail tour. You can find tickets and dates at columbuscraftcocktailtour.com. Thank you to our producer, Greg Hansberry. And thank you to the biographer who composed and performed our original music. And Blair,
Please remember to drink responsibly, tip appropriately, and always be cocktail curious. Cheers.
cheers.